Good morning and welcome to day number 85. My name is Mary and today's story called Jephthah's Promise. Although Gideon had refused to become a king after his death, one of his sons, whose name was Abimelech, tried to make himself a king. He began by killing all his brothers except one who escaped. But his rule was only over Shechem, and a few places near it, and lasted only a few years. So he was never named among the kings of Israel. After this, the Israelites again began to worship the idols of the Canaanites, and again fell under the power of their enemies. The Ammonites came against them from the southeast and ruled over the tribes on the east of Jordan. This was the sixth of the oppressions, and the man who set Israel free was Jephthah. He called together the men of the tribes on the east of Jordan, Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and fought against the Ammonites. Before Jephthah went to the battle, he said to the Lord, "If you will give me victory over the Ammonites when I come back from the battle, whatever comes out of the house to meet me shall be the Lord's, and I will offer it up as an offering." This was not a wise promise or a right one. God had told the Israelites long before what offerings were commanded: oxen and sheep, and what were forbidden. But Jephthah had lived on the border near the desert, far from the house of God at Shiloh, and he knew very little about God's law. Jephthah fought the Ammonites, won a victory, and drove them out of the land. Then, as he was going back to his home, his daughter, who was his only child, came out to meet him. When Jephthah saw her, he cried out in sorrow, "Oh, my daughter, what trouble you bring with you! I have given a promise to the Lord, and now I must keep it." As soon as his daughter learned what promise her father had made, she met it bravely. She said, "My father, you have made a solemn promise to the Lord, and you shall keep it. For God has given you victory over the enemies of your people. But let me live a little while and weep with my young friends over the death I must suffer." For 2 months she stayed with the young girls on the mountains. Then she gave herself up to death, and her father died as he had promised. In all the history of the Israelites, this was the only time a living man or woman was offered in sacrifice to the Lord. I will show you the picture of Jephthah when he came back from his war against the enemy, and his daughter came to meet him happily, and he was very troubled with that. Okay, if Japheth had lived near the tabernacle at Shiloh and had been taught God's law, he would not have given such a promise, for God did not like it, and his daughter's life would have been saved. And that was the word of the Lord. Now, the discussion questions. Number one, who became king after Gideon's death? Who became king after Gideon's death? Number two, do you think he made God happy? Why or why not? Do you think he made God happy? Why or why not? Number three, why wasn't Japheth's promise to God wise? Why wasn't Japheth's promise to God wise? Number four, why did he make it? Did God want him to do that? Why did he make it? Did God want him to do that? And that was the end of our discussion. Thank you for being there, for listening. May God bless us all, and may you have a blessed day. Bye for now.